Chapter 3. On Friday afternoon, Mr. McGuire picked Matt up from school, and the two of them drove across town to the television studio, where the Cardio Punch commercial would be filmed. As they walked through the door of the soundstage, Matt gripped his father's hand with excitement. "Dad, here we are, the doorway to stardom," he cried, raising his fist in the air. Mr. McGuire looked around nervously. The soundstage was a huge warehouse-like room filled with equipment and props. Young men and women wearing headsets and carrying clipboards bustled back and forth. Over to the side of the room, Mr. McGuire noticed a large piece of equipment that looked like it might be a TV camera. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he murmured to himself. "It's not going to be a big deal. I'm not going to be on camera for that long. This is just a fun day together, trying something new. Something new like stardom," Matt added, raising his fist again. His father gave him a look. Here, let's just sign in," he said, leading them over to a table with a sign-up sheet. "On the sign-in sheet to stardom," Matt cried. "Stop doing that," Mr. McGuire told him, grabbing Matt's raised hand and lowering it to his side. "There they are," a woman cried from across the room. Mrs. McGuire and Matt looked up and saw a tall blonde woman in a gray suit striding toward them. It was Donna, the casting woman, who had spotted them in the mall. Next to her was a man with Beatles-style haircut and long sideburns. Even though it was warm in the studio, he wore a heavy turtleneck sweater under his jacket. He made a square with both hands and peered through it at Matt and Mr. McGuire, as if framing them with a camera. "It's a real father and his real little boy I found in the shoe store," Donna told the man. She turned to the McGuires. This is Steve, our director," she said brightly. Matt beamed. "The man will direct us to star—" "Shush," Mr. McGuire said, cutting him off. He shook hands with the director. "Sam McGuire," he said, introducing himself. "This is my son, Matt." "Hi," Matt said. He vigorously pumped the director's outstretched hand, grinning from ear to ear. The director smiled. "Love them," he said to Donna. "Have the stunt guys fit them with harnesses." He nodded briefly at the McGuires and shouted, "Robin, where's my blended?" A second later, a very hassled-looking assistant scurried up and handed him a coffee drink in a take-out cup. Mr. McGuire leaned down to Matt. Did he say harness?" "The harness to stardom," Matt replied happily. Mr. McGuire glanced up and suddenly noticed a menacing 2-foot rock-climbing wall towering above them. At the top of the wall, a man began to adjust the ropes attached to 2 harnesses. One of the harnesses was Matt's size. The other looked like it was Dad's size. Mr. McGuire gulped. "I think I know what the harness is for," he said. Matt stood next to him, staring at the wall with a dazed expression on his face. "This is the best day of my life," he murmured. Mr. McGuire glanced nervously at his son. The last thing in the world he wanted to do was to climb that wall, but he didn't want to tell that to Matt. Instead, he said, "Matt, if this wall is too high for you, we don't have to do this." "Too high," Matt cried. "It's not high enough." "Woohoo!" He danced from side to side, shouting, "Who's your rock climber? Who's your rock climber?" Suddenly the director walked over to them. "Let's run over this," he said crisply. "You scale the wall, you grab the cardio punch, chug and smile. Rappel back down one-handed with the bottle, label out, give me a flip at the end, touchdown, and smile. Yes?" Mr. McGuire stared at him. "This can't be safe," he said. The director looked at him coolly. "If it isn't, we'll fix it in editing." He flashed a phony smile at Mr. McGuire, then bellowed, "Robin!" The harried assistant ran over with a sheaf of papers. "I need you to sign these waivers," she told Mr. McGuire, shoving a pen into his hand. "Sign here, here." She flipped to another page. "Initial here, and can I have your thumb?" Grabbing Mr. McGuire's thumb, she rolled it across an ink pad and stamped his thumbprint onto one of the pages. "Let's make some magic, people. We're on a bell," the director shouted. Mr. McGuire turned pale. Meanwhile, on the other side of town in Lizzie's bedroom, Lizzie and Miranda were getting ready for their big performance. Namely, convincing Lizzie's mom that they were going to the mall when they were really headed for Kate's party. Although Lizzie's hair was freshly washed and carefully curled, she wore old jeans and a t-shirt and a denim jacket. As she and Miranda packed their party clothes into shopping bags, they went over the final details of their plan. "I downloaded the bus map," Miranda said, handing a piece of paper to Lizzie. "The number 23 drops us 2 blocks from Kate's house." Lizzie stared down at the bus map. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely see it. "I'm having second and third and fourth thoughts about this whole thing," she told Miranda. Miranda grabbed Lizzie's hands to steady them. "Lizzie, you can't fall apart at a time like this," she said. "At a time like what?" Lizzie cried. "A time like the first time we tell our mothers we're going to the mall, and we sneak to a party instead? I say that's the perfect time to fall apart." "They'll never know," Miranda assured her. "Mall, bus, party, bus, mall. The plan is flawless." "The plan is genius. Sheer genius, I tell you." Suddenly the door to Lizzie's room opened. The girls jumped. But it was only Gordo. He slipped into the room and closed the doors tightly behind him. "So what's the plan?" he asked in a hushed voice. "Your plan is that your parents take you to the party that you're allowed to go to," Miranda told him, annoyed. "Oh, but that's where you're wrong," Gordo said cleverly. "I told my parents I wasn't going to the party. In fact, they think I'm at Miranda's house, but I'm not. I'm here. You want to know why?" He lowered his voice to a menacing whisper. "'Cause I'm bad." Miranda and Lizzie rolled their eyes. "We'll see you at the party, Gordo," Miranda said. Gordo shook his head. "You're not getting rid of me that fast, 'cause I'm all about the plan tonight. And you want to know why?" "Yeah, Gordo, you're bad," Miranda said sarcastically. Just then there was a brief knock on Lizzie's door, and Mrs. McGuire entered. "You girls ready?" she asked. She glanced over at Gordo. "Oh, hi, Gordo," she said, surprised. "You're going shopping with the girls?" "That's the plan," Gordo replied. Lizzie and Miranda scowled at him. As Miranda and Gordo left the room, Mrs. McGuire stopped Lizzie. "Can I talk to you for a second?" she asked. Lizzie's breath caught in her chest. She knows. How does she always know? Sure, Mom," Lizzie said, barely managing to choke out the words. "I know you really wanted to go to the party tonight," her mother said, "and I'm sorry I had to say no, but I'm sure you'll have a good time with your friends at the mall." She reached into her wallet and pulled out a $10 bill. Smiling warmly, she held it out to Lizzie. "Buy everyone a big cookie on me," Lizzie gulped. "Thanks, Mom," she said weakly. "Okay, it's official. I am the worst daughter who have ever lived." Stricken with guilt, Lizzie tucked the money into her pocket and followed her mother out to the car.